It's not about you. It's not about your farm and the fact that you bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax.
Classic BBC there. Classic.
You might not know that in my country, the United Kingdom, farmers have taken to the streets to protest further punitive measures. This time not being promoted by the EU, Britain left the EU, but being promoted by the British government, who are essentially now a centralist WEF warmongering government that are trying to destroy the lives of British citizens in favour of an agenda, a global war agenda, that can never ever be won unless by victory you mean ordinary people are annihilated by nuclear strikes. Among their targets and their victims are British farmers. And the problem is with destroying British agriculture is you won't have no food left. The problem is that they are significant, but they're a significant portion of the population. I don't mean by their numbers, but by their duties and by their tasks and by their willingness to get out on the street with tractors. Now, if you're not British, you might not know about Jeremy Clarkson, I guess unless you're a Top Gear fan, the car show that he fronted for years that was a global phenomenon and success. Jeremy Clarkson is now a farm owner, and therefore I suppose a farmer himself. And he was participating in these farm protests where, like everywhere in the world, like Sri Lanka and India and Germany and the Netherlands, farmers are protesting almost as if there is some sort of global agenda against farmers. If farmers everywhere are protesting, like how people are protesting everywhere about free speech prohibition, it's likely that there's possibly a centralized, almost New World Order style agenda being pursued. Do you think that's possible? Let me know in the comments in the chat. So this farm protest in the UK had notable attendees like Jeremy Clarkson, like Nigel Farage, and as usual with farm protests, there were like hay bales being put up in the street and maybe some sewage and slurry being dumped, but who's going to smell that in Westminster? That's our equivalent of Capitol Hill, where all the politicians are. Anyway, here's Jeremy Clarkson being confronted by a BBC, remember that's taxpayer-funded state media journalist, who's saying that he has dubious undergirdings for his own participation in the protest and that the farmers' protests themselves are illegitimate. Remember, that's what the powerful have always done. They smear their opponents and bring them down. And if there is a legitimate reason to protest, like, hey, why are you trying to destroy farmers? Why are you trying to do that? In this instance specifically, it's because they're imposing a type of inheritance tax that's particularly punitive to farmers who don't have a lot of cash in their business. Their business is in their assets. And if they're hit with this tax, it's going to annihilate their model. And some people think that's the point, to annihilate their model so that farmland can be acquired at scale by billionaires. Is that happening anywhere? Have you noticed that? Let me know in the comments and chat. Are there any notable billionaires buying up farmland in your country, for example? Are there various other ecologically justified measures that are destroying farmers in Germany and all across Europe and across the world? Could there be a reason behind it? Or does it make you a conspiracy theorist? So these farm protests are pretty significant and pretty important. And Jeremy Clarkson is a person who's always been, a bit like me, I suppose, controversial in my country. He's one of those people that every so often there's a great big scandal. He like punches someone in the face on a TV show or something, you know, like that might not be a literal example. Like I'm kind of half remembering it. Anyway, I'm just letting you know what Jeremy Clarkson represents. In a sense, he's a kind of populist who, if he entered into politics, it'd make a real impact. Let me tell you that. And in a way, we're all in politics now because everything is becoming politicized. Because if you start trying to take away people's free speech, that obviously affects all of us. And in fact, all of us should be involved in politics anyway, because power should be managed by the people affected by that power. We should reject all forms of centralization, and we could do that now because of the miracle of technology. Anyway, I've said enough. Let's have a look at Jeremy Clarkson versus the BBC.
So why are you here, Mr. Clarkson?
Well, because I'm here to support farmers.
Right. Are you angry?
It's difficult to be angry on somebody else's behalf. That's like being... Yes, no, I'm not angry on someone else's behalf.
Right. So it's not about you. It's not about your farm and the fact that you bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax.
Classic BBC there. Classic.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. It's not the fact that I bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax. The fact.
You told the Sunday Times in 2021 that's why you bought it.
These people.
Sorry?
BBC. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
I wanted a shoot. Okay? That's even worse to the BBC. I wanted a shoot. which comes with the benefit of not having to pay inheritance tax. Now I do. But people like me will simply put it in a trust. And so long as I live for 7 years, that's fine. And as my daughter said, you will live for 7 years. You might be in a deep freeze at the end of it, but you will live for 7 years. But it's incredibly time-consuming to have to do that. And why should all these people have to do that? Why should they?
So one of the reasons Rachel Reeves says she brought this in is to stop wealthy people using it as a way.
No, that was the only reason she did.
Well, no, the other reason was to raise money for public services. Well, have you seen?
Are you listening to this?
Have you tried to get a GP appointment lately?
Yes, right. I just recently had a heart attack.
Okay, so you know it's tough.
Yes.
So where should they get the money from if it's not from farmers?
From farmers.
Stop funding unnecessary wars all around the world, for example.
You hear that, everyone?
With
BBC
assets.
thinks you should be paying for everything.
Clarkson,
Okay, do you know how many
BBC
people pay inheritance tax in this country?
Stop charging people for the BBC itself.
It's 4% of estates.
What?
4% of estates.
4% pay inheritance tax. 96% of the population of the UK does not pay inheritance tax.
Ensure that massive global corporations like Apple, YouTube pay taxes in the country where they're running their businesses from. Global corporations. Why don't we get on with this? Also, while we're at it, start shutting down some legacy media organisations. We don't need them anymore.
After this becomes law, 96% of farmers will.
Where have you got that figure from?
Who here, can I just ask, who here is going to be unaffected by these changes?
New media versus old media. Fantastic new war we're in now.
No one.
Right. Where have you got the 96% figure
Well,
from?
you've got 96%.
Yeah.
Well, the same place that Rachel Reeves does, from the middle of her head.
Right.
From the Sixth Form Debating Society that she was no doubt a member of.
Okay.
Which formed her opinions and yours.
I am not expressing opinions. I'm literally asking you questions. You know that, Mr. Clarkson.
Right.
So, what is your message to this government?
Please back down. Please.
And get the money from where?
Well, they've got 40 billion.
That's amazing. That she's saying she's not editorializing. I've been in that position before. Okay, look, I'm just asking questions. Please back down. Stop punishing and destroying farmers. Get the money from where? You can't have an opinion unless you've got a solution to all of the world's problems. I've been on the roundabout that he's on right there. What the media do is they act in concordance with centralized power. They don't know they're doing it. That woman there, Victoria Derbyshire, I believe her name is, isn't like, she's not been briefed that morning and been told, right, this is how you support the agenda of WEF-sponsored politicians like Keir Starmer. This is how you participate in the destruction of farmers. She doesn't know she's doing that. That's the beauty and ingenuity of the system. The professional class believe like I believe in Jesus Christ, that they're doing the right thing. All the while, they're destroying the lives of ordinary people. Okay, so what's your solution then? What are we going to tax? Jelly babies? People's shoes? Where's the money going to come from? How about this? How about decentralize all power wherever possible? How about have referenda on every subject as close to the individuals affected by it as possible? How about a new model? How about we accept together that things aren't working? How about we don't allow global corporate interests to run our country? Unelected bodies, whether that's the EU, they're gone out of Britain, but NATO still seem to have an incredible impact, or the WHO that want to be able to levy taxes in our country and your country and across the world. How about we allow the will of the people to be represented, and when people rise up and protest, we don't say, oh, they're stupid, they stink, they're farmers, they're greedy, they must be racist or rapists. How about we listen to them? Because after all, isn't the whole urgency behind all of their piety, I'm talking about the BBC and the globalist governments, we're here to help people. We believe in democracy. We've got to have a war in every single country we can list in order to get them democracy. If you believe in democracy so much, start listening to people.
I'll tell you where you go. Walk into any of the offices around here. If you don't understand what somebody's job is, fire them.
And how
the civil service is too top. You know that. I must get on.
What's your job? Actually, I'm working here on a new gut microbiome that's going to make people incredibly healthy by nurturing these very subtle bacteria. But I don't understand that. Fuck off. That's amazing. I mean, look, I take his point. What Jeremy Clarkson was, of course, saying is people that work in positions of government that are oddly inaccessible and sort of circuitous, circular positions about the maintenance of power. Get rid of them. Reduce the size of government. These great apparatus that are designed mainly, it seems, to asphyxiate the will of the people. Get rid of them. Stop buying their claim that they're here to protect us, because they don't protect us. They don't protect us. Let's work out at the level of the borough what we need, at the level of the nation what's required and how to fund it and support it. Let's yield to this new populism. Let's embrace it. Let's maybe add to it the notion of decentralization, so different communities could be run autonomously on the basis of their own determination. But there are going to have to be some acceptance of universal principles, and that's where the quarrel will truly begin. Do you agree on the principle of virtue or kindness? What principles of justice do you believe in, and would you be prepared to agree on? And from where will they be derived? Mankind's reason, or will they be derived from a belief in something incredible and something powerful that goes way beyond the remit of the bureaucrats, the mandarins, and those that advocate for further and further centralized power in their blissful utopian new world order, where all you have to do, my friend, is go to sleep forever, dreaming their dreams on their behalf. I would say resist that with your last drop of blood. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat?
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.